everyone, I'm Tallie, this is Farrell and we are bored of it, and welcome to our top 10 board games of 2022. We did this video last year, so if you watched that last year, welcome back. We're doing this again and we are once again decked out in our Christmas jumpers to celebrate the end of the year. We've got ourselves a little Christmas tipple.
And Sven's down here as well.
Sven's down there, little Christmas
elf.
The other Christmas elf is somewhere else.
Moaning on the sofa.
Yeah,
we did actually have traditional Christmas Yule brew as well, but this stuff is maybe the worst beer I've ever tasted in my life.
I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
So we had to last minute pour a whiskey instead.
Yeah, oh well, never mind.
Christmas whiskey.
Yeah. In this video, we are going to reveal to each other our top 10 lists. So these are all games that we have newly played or newly discovered from this year. And we created our own individual lists, top secret.
Yeah, we don't know what
the other's list is going to be. So that's a bit of fun for us as well to reveal to each other.
Yeah, and I think we can both agree that it's been a really stellar year for board gaming. I mean, last year we did a top 9, just I guess to be different more than anything, but like that was kind of like easy. And this year we had a top 10 and it's been a real struggle.
Definitely,
it's been really tough.
I think what was really crazy to me looking at all of the new games that we did play this year, I'm like, wow, we played that this year, that was new this year.
Yeah.
And it really, I don't know, it's wild how time flies and you can, I don't know, place the games that we've played and it makes me think of certain times in our lives, but I just wouldn't place it this year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So, as you kind of said, with these aren't necessarily games that came out this year, because obviously board games is a bit of a weird hobby where sometimes things will come out in one region and not another. Sometimes there'll be a very limited first print run and everyone knows they want it, but they can't get it. And, you know,
it's not like one and done release a lot of the time.
Some of these we literally got on like the 27th of December and we played for like the first time. But I mean, we're obviously going to count it for 2022. Yeah. Because you're not going to count a game you play in the last week of December, one of your games of the year, unless you're a maniac. So, shall we do like you than me, or?
Go on then.
But I have to already throw the rule book out because I couldn't limit it just to 10.
What? So, I wasn't allowed this concession.
Well, you should have just
go on then.
Taken it. No, so I want to very quickly go through number 12 and 11 because I really wanted to include them, but they obviously didn't make it.
Yeah, I wanted to include loads of games that didn't make it.
Well, for me, it was just like 9, 10, 11, 12 were all like circling.
Yeah. Go on.
So, number 12 is My Father's Work. Okay. And I think it's one that I really enjoyed, but it's also probably the one on the list that, for me, has the most, I don't want to say issues necessarily, but barriers to entry that will put people off of it.
Yeah.
Like length of play, all the text. We have a review of it and we kind of go over that, but it was a very enjoyable game that I would like it to be in there, but it just missed it.
Yeah.
And then number 11 is Mind Management. And that is one really enjoyed, but I feel like to me it's more, once you play it a couple of times, it's more of like an experience game rather than a game you want to go to over and over and over. And I feel like, because we played a lot of these games from the beginning of the year that we kind of liked a lot, just to compare them to things we've been playing in the second half of the year to make sure it wasn't nostalgia.
Yeah.
And this is one where when I played it, I really enjoyed it just like a couple of days ago. But it really did feel like I've had that experience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I still keep playing it. I don't want to sell it or anything. I'm just, if I never played it again, that's why it's like number 11.
Right, okay.
So sorry. Now we can go to your number 10. Or you can do an honourable mention.
I want to do an honourable mention now. Although I feel like there's one I wanted to put at number 10, but it just missed out. But I know that Long Shot the Dice game was just hovering just outside the top 10 for me. So I just want to give that a shout out. Something we've played a lot of times this year. Did it make our top most played games so far? Right,
go on to our list of our most played games all since we began keeping records.
I think it's really good, very accessible, played with a wide range of people. Always love a game that you can take to the pub, etc. But Yeah, I feel like maybe we've ranked them differently. Maybe yours is more logical than mine.
Well,
I had to go with like gut feeling.
I will tell you what my main motivator for where they're ranked is how much more do I want to play them, if that makes sense. Like in terms of wanting to go back to it, and like that's kind of I would say the overarching way I've ranked them now, and like wanting to go back to them like over and over again.
Mine's a mixture of gut feeling and how much I enjoyed playing it at the time.
Yeah.
So slightly different ways to rank. So let's see
so
if we have any crossover.
Now that we got through those briefly, I guess we should just say like a few sentences about the game in case people don't know it, and then so I know my number 10 needs some description, so
okay,
but we'll go with your number 10.
Are we going to do it though where I reveal the game and then describe it, or are you going to say, oh, mine's number 10 as well, and then we talk about both number 10s?
No, you do your one.
I'm just interested.
No, you do your one and reveal it and describe it.
Okay, because now I really want to know what your number 10 is. Anyway, my number 10 is Brindlewood Bay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what? This was going to be, so it's an RPG, and I was going to have a separate category that was just like best RPG I played this year, Brindlewood Bay.
Right.
That's the only reason I thought about it, but I thought I would separate it.
So Brindlewood Bay is an RPG, like Farrell said, but it has a theme of you're all little old ladies who are part of a book club who go around solving murders. Kind of
Midsummer Murders.
Midsummer Murders.
Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie. Quite kitschy though, cute.
Yeah.
Has humorous things about it, but there's maybe like a bit of a spooky undertone running throughout. But I've put it at number 10. We've only played 2 games, and that's been very, very recently, so very, very new game. But I had to put it in the top 10 just because of all of the laughs we've had playing it.
Yeah.
Just even though it's only been a short time. But
to be fair, each session's quite long. So you could say you played it.
That's true. Some hours.
A lot of hours, I think, if you consider both of them, right?
That's true. Yeah. I just really felt like it had to be mentioned in the top 10 because...
Yeah.
I think at some points I've never laughed so hard as playing this game.
The first time particularly was.
Yes, when we were all creating our old lady characters, picking the names, picking their personalities. The group that we're playing with absolutely got the assignment from the off. Yeah. And we created some indelible characters, let's just say. So we had such fun, and that's why I wanted to put it at number 10, like all the lols playing Brindlewood Bay. Yeah,
so I think, like I said, I really like that. I just wanted to not have it separate, but you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because it's an RPG.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a...
no, it's fine, I think. I think it's fine. So, although I guess it's technically not a board game, but I've also thrown out the rules already, so...
Yeah, I can throw out a rule.
So, it leads to my number 10, which is Mantis Falls.
Okay.
And... if you don't know Mantis Falls, which you quite likely might not, it's a kind of small box 2 to 3 player game. And what's interesting is it's a 2 to 3 player social deception game, which obviously usually doesn't work at small player counts, but they do a really good job of it. And it has a really great theme as well. You're someone who's witnessed a mob murder and you have to make it out of town. You kind of have to go along this road and get to the end. But what the kind of rub is that everyone could be a witness, in which case it's a cooperative game, or one person could be an assassin, in which case it's social deception and the assassin's trying to kill the witness and the witness is trying to survive. But because you don't know, that's where this social deception comes in, right? And the tension, and it's really great. And what's nice is when you first play it first couple times, you just play a social deception game. But there's a really nice card play system that you learn as you play more and more, and you kind of have these really slick moves and counter moves and strategies that emerge.
You know what cards might be coming up, right? Or what cards the other player might have, or...
So for me, some of the best gaming experiences we had in last year were when we got it and we played it a lot, and we'd have like the Twin Peaks soundtrack on, the lights down, some candles, and we just had some really good times. And I think the reason it's number 10 is because it's definitely out of the next 9, the one, or the 10, I guess, it's the one that's the most fragile, I think, and the most divisive. I think some people would play it and be like, what is this game?
Yeah.
And then others would love it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like social deception, if you're not good at lying, like, I mean, it's out already, right? So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, very nearly. I don't think it's in my top 10. Struggling to remember now. But I don't think it is, but it very nearly, that was hovering around at like 12, 13 if I had to put it. So yeah. Just because of how novel it is, great experience.
I just want to give it some recognition, but I really enjoyed my time with it. But also, I think it was one of the games we played recently to reassess, and I do feel like as well you can have bad games of it through the cards, because the first game we played when we got out again was over in 3 turns because the game just killed both of us. Because like it's quite a hard cooperative game if the game is cooperative. And we got wiped out, and I was an assassin, you were a witness, and we just got wiped out, and then we just reset it and played again, right? And then we had a great game. That was really tense.
True.
But it's a fragile thing, I think.
Yeah. Okay, should we move on to number 9? So my number 9 is Rustling Leaves. Which is a very, very lovely, cute little roll and write. You get a big pad, which we write on, and there's 4 different kind of games, let's say, based on the 4 different seasons. So slightly different ways to score each time, slightly different ways that you have to think about where to, put your shapes. Because there's basically 2 dice that you roll. And you're basically drawing grids like 1 by 2, 4 by 4, based on the dice roll.
You don't want a 4 by 4.
No, you don't want that 4 by 4. When you roll a 4 by 4 followed by a 4 by 4,
you kind of usually want a 1 by 2. Smaller the better.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bit Tetris-like. You have to decide where you put these the shapes, basically. But you can score for things like don't put bears in the autumn season within one of your squares, like keep them outside or whatever it might be. So lots of different ways to score, and I just think it's really beautiful for one, very engaging, something that you can play a couple of games of in each session, and something that we've enjoyed taking on holiday with us and playing.
Yeah, we played it a lot. I don't think it made it onto our top played games list, but it's not far off, and that was in like a couple of months. I think I picked it up in April, and like by a few months later, it was on like 20 plays or something.
Yeah.
Like you say, because we took it traveling, and it's really nice. And the variety as well helps you get it out, because you have the 4 different maps.
Yes, exactly.
So it's
just very, I think, sharp, clever, cute, all the buzzwords. What's your number 9?
So my number 9 is Nemesis Lockdown.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And this was one of the ones, so actually I was right before when I said like 9 to 12, they're all kind of, I think I knew I was going to have Mantis Falls on there for the kind of novelty of it, because it's so different, but these 3 were hovering. But then we also just played Nemesis Lockdown to replay it, because we haven't played it for a long time, since our review basically. And we had a really good game of it, to be fair, because obviously it's almost like a fragile thing where you can get unlucky and kind of have a miserable time, or you can have like a really exciting adventure, like getting out by the skin of your teeth, and there's a very thin line. And also there's obviously a lot of issues with it that we went over in our review, but it's definitely, I think it's the best vehicle for storytelling in board games kind of thing, if you know what I mean, like in terms of making your own story, role-playing like a spaceship. And I think we both do, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, we both prefer Lockdown as well to the original. We like the new mechanisms, we like the characters more. And Lockdown's actually, I think I was still a bit ambivalent on Nemesis, the system, and as a game, because it's like mean and stuff. But we played it a lot for our review, and then we eventually got into it and had some really good games. And
definitely.
So yeah. What do you think about that?
I think that's fair. I think you like those type of games more than me. Not that I don't like them. It's just I think you're more motivated to get those kinds of games out.
Fair.
I don't think I would ever say, let's play Nemesis Lockdown. But when you get it out on the table, like you did actually the other day, you whipped off the leaves from our board game table and it was set up underneath, right?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, fine. I'm happy to play. And I do, prefer Lockdown.
Yeah, just to know that game, Tallie tried to murder me and she ended up losing.
Yeah. Very nearly though. Like if you were infected.
Well, to be fair, it was a real tight ending.
Yes. And I like, if you are going to play something like that, which is very like story driven, I do like a bit of a competitive element personally.
Yeah.
So there's always that thing of where you have hidden goals, and that motivates me to definitely like want to play and have my own like mind in a way, because sometimes cooperative can be like.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Well, we actually tried the cooperative version the first 2 times we played, I think, and we're just like we really didn't enjoy it.
No, that's not.
And then we're like, okay, let's do the semi-cooperative, and then we had a much better time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I just need to double check.
Oh no.
Because,
You're already forgetting.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was correct in what my number 8 is. Okay, so my number 8 is my father's work.
Oh.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. You already talked about the game, but
You can talk about it more. I just said it briefly.
Yeah.
Just explain like theme and.
It's a worker placement game with a kind of Frankenstein theme. So you are aiming to complete the work of your mad scientist father, and then I guess grandfather in the end.
Your family's
work. So you'll be using all sorts of weird ingredients, but also pass down knowledge over the generations to create, like, what do you create?
Well,
there's like some of it's kind of normal scientific discoveries, and some of it will be like anti-gravity suit or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's very tongue-in-cheek a lot of the time.
Yes, and there's a bit of a story element, but it's worker placement, resource conversion management.
Yeah,
where the ultimate goal is to have enough work and knowledge under your belt by round 3, which is generation 3, to complete your father's masterwork. So to complete your objectives, you need other objectives already completed and different resources.
It's like a pyramid, right? Like
yes.
You need an A to do a B experiment, you need 2 Bs to do a C, and you need like 3 Cs to do the
You have to build on what you've already done. It's very interesting. I like it. It's very interesting. We talked about this recently in our best board games for 2 players, not specifically designed for 2 players video. That it's worker placement, but you don't get locked out if your opponent goes to the space. It just might cost you like 1 coin, but it's more about how you place your workers, because the caretaker isn't allowed to leave your player board, which is your creepy estate.
Yeah,
he's not allowed to go into town.
But it's like, just so jump in, what I love about the game is little touches, like one of your upgrades you can buy is extensive wardrobe. And it lets the caretaker go to town because you've covered him in like wigs and jackets and stuff. Yes,
and you can't, like, if you send your servants to do your experiments, then you lose them because they run away because it's so horrifying. So it's actually more of a puzzle of what you do with your own workers than getting locked out of spaces from other players. And yeah, I think it deserves to go in my top 10 because I think it's funny, interesting, novel. I agree with you that the length is very long and that might put like some people off, but I personally just really enjoy playing it. I think it's fun.
I think what stops it from being on mine is I think it's app driven, which is one thing, and not because of the app driven. We don't mind that actually. In fact, a lot of our favorite games are app driven, but I think it's not the best app implementation I've seen. If you compare it to something like Return to Dark Tower, where that's like really slick and professional, and this is a bit more like Manchester Madness style. And there's a lot of text, and it can be a bit tedious to read out. And I think there's a bit of an issue for me because you play scenarios and there's like different goals, and depending what happens, it changes the scenario. So you have a lot of replayability, which is good. but I find the app isn't very good at telling you exactly what's even going on or what like the benefit of doing something is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really confusing when they're like, "Oh, pick one of these," and you're like, "I don't understand."
Yeah, you're picking arbitrarily.
Yeah,
Because...
and it's like, "Oh, someone sent you a letter. What do you want to do about it?" And I'm like, "Who? What?" So that's what kept it for me. But I think another thing, best components we've seen in the game all year.
Yes, they are absolutely amazing.
But I think I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yes.
I think it's the most humorous game probably played in the last year. Best components.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, like you say, for the reasons.
Yep. And we have a review, so check that out if you're interested. Over to you.
Okay, number 8, right?
Yes.
So my number 8 is Circadian's Chaos Order.
Oh.
And this is another one maybe you don't know that well. But the designer, well, there's two designers, Zachary Smith and Sam McDonald. And Sam McDonald's best known for his work on the West Kingdom series. And this is, one of his games with a new designer.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a mashup of a bit of Scythe, bit of Gaia Project, bit of Root. Jesus, sorry.
Whoa. Came out nowhere.
Just so excited. And it's like this big kind of asymmetrical faction battling game, but with a lot of like Euro elements, like research tracks and making yourself better. And it's just a lot of elements are really interesting. I think it mashes together these genres really well. I think it's only number 8 because it is a bit, you could say, fiddly. I definitely wouldn't recommend it to everyone.
Yeah.
I think it deserves a lot more recognition than it's got so far. It only came out a couple of months ago. And I think it's a really terrific game. Just it's fiddly. I think we had our issues with the battle system in that it's a very great battle system. I think it's really smart. But in a game where you have a lot of battles, I think it's too intricate and too smart.
Yeah.
So it like lags down the game, and I would never play this with 4 or 5 people.
No.
But I think the asymmetric factions are really interesting. They work really differently. The fact that they all have different scoring tracks, but there's a central goal everyone can do. I really like the kind of bidding for actions, where you bid for actions.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Or not really bid, but you like in turn order pick an action, and you get to do it for free, and everyone else has to pay. And you can like set the price for that action, so you can price people out, or set it like low enough that you get everyone's resource.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a really interesting game, and I really enjoyed my time. I don't know if you want to add anything to it.
Not really. I guess it just, No, I don't have too much else to say. I think it's a really good game, but you're more enamored with it than
Yeah.
So
That's fair enough.
yes. Okay, should we move on?
Yep.
So my number 7 is Ultimate Railroads. Yeah, I have a feeling that maybe you put this a bit higher, but don't give any facial clues away.
Did you put it so low because you've never won it?
Oh, maybe that's subconsciously why. Like I said, I had to rank a little bit with my gut feeling.
Yeah.
So maybe that's subconsciously. Have I never ever won it?
Maybe once.
Yeah, I think I've won it once.
I think you won like the first time.
But it's a worker placement game, but it has something very interesting that you do on your player board, where you're basically constructing different railroads from different routes, but you can't progress your tracks until you've moved the track in front of it. So it's very puzzly, like optimizing the order in which you do things, because you have different colors of tracks and the different colors will score higher and higher. So you need to move your basic beige track along so that you can move the green track along, so you can move the bronze track along, and then hopefully get the silver and gold out, which get you more points. And the further you've moved it, the more points you get. But there's like a ton of other ways you can score points, right? It's not just about moving your tracks along.
That's what I really like, the different ways to score. There's a lot of different strategies.
Yeah, exactly. And we have the big box versions. We have 4 different...
Well, I think you should say that's the only version you can get now.
Okay, fine.
Because it was out of print for a while, and Ultimate Railroads is the original game, Russian Railroads, with all the expansions. And I don't think, unless you're getting like a second-hand copy, I think this is all you can buy.
Yeah, so there's 4 different.
And it came out this year, so it's why it's an old game, but
the reprint.
Yeah, because we never played it because we couldn't get our hands on it.
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of content in the big box, so always a different puzzle to puzzle out. The worker placement is like pretty savage as well. We like savage games.
It's great.
But it's kind of interesting because there's always something interesting to do.
Yeah, exactly.
There's always something that you will want to do that can score you points. It's just that certain spaces you always want to go for and do more. So
I think that's one of my favourite things. I believe we said this, we have a review of it as well, that when you get cut off, it's annoying. But in other games, you're like, oh, well, guess I will do nothing now. And in this, it's like, okay, well, I really want to do that, but now I'll go over here and I'll get a new train instead because that space is open. It's like, we played with 4 players, I think, only once, but we've played this game a lot. And I found that in that is quite interesting because you could do what you wanted, far less, obviously. But I never felt like, oh, well, that turn was wasted because there's always something, like you say, there's always interesting other options.
Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, just think we've had a lot of fun with that. I think it's good. Very, very crunchy game, but you can play it in like just over an hour for 2 people.
I would say less once you know.
Yeah, exactly. So it is, again, something that you can get in maybe 2 games of, and just like frustrating but satisfying at the same time. I just think it's very, very solid game. Yeah,
for me, I think I haven't played a game this year that gives you more crunch per minute, if you know what I mean. I think it's terrific. So my number 7 is Carnegie.
Oh, okay.
And this is a new game this year, a classic, you could say, Euro type game, except it's quite hard to describe really because it's like very familiar but different as well.
Yeah. Euro with like a couple of twists, I would say.
So you're basically, it's like, I don't know, about Andrew Carnegie and you're, I guess, building infrastructure across the US and like railroads and like hospitals and housing and stuff, and developing your company to make money, and you're scoring for things you do right. But the first thing that's absolutely great about it is the action selection system, where it's been done before, but I think it's the best version of it I've seen so far, that I've played at least, where you pick an action, everyone has to do it, and then obviously it's someone else's turn and they pick an action, everyone has to do it. And in this game, it's kind of very much, if you get caught unprepared, you can't do that action, and you only have 20 actions in the game. So it's very tense about like being prepared and reading other people, which adds like a nice level to it that you don't usually get in Euros. I just think that selection system is really interesting. And the selection is actually mixed with a thing where you send your workers out for certain actions to the board, and depending on the action you take, it will bring workers back from different places. So also, and that gives you income, and otherwise you don't really get income.
Yeah.
So you need to like think about what the people are going to do, where your workers are. So there's a lot going on in this action system, which I really like.
Yeah.
And then you just have all the other stuff about kind of managing different areas of your department, having money, like resource management. I just think it's really, really, really good.
Looks nice.
Oh yeah, really good production.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
No.
No.
Not at this stage.
Not at this stage. All right. We can go to number 6 then.
Yeah, so my number 6 is Pampero. So
you should probably put a caveat on that. Or else you might get in trouble.
A preview copy.
Well, no, that you can't buy it.
You can't buy it. Yeah, it's what was on.
It was on
Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, a couple of months ago. Might be able to late pledge it.
We were very lucky to get a prototype copy so that we could do the preview. So it's a dry Euro about energy production, as all of the best games are. So it's about creating wind farms in Uruguay, shipping the energy to the surrounding countries, fulfilling contracts, creating energy for Uruguay. But that also, like Carnegie, has a very interesting action selection system where you do your actions by playing cards. But everyone has a set of like 8 cards or something like that, which represent your actions. But you can only take one back at the end of every round. And to
it can
take
only
them,
be the last one.
And the last one that you played in like one of 2 last ones that you've played, basically. And you can take them all back, but then you're like wasting a whole turn, basically. So you're trying to always like optimize in what order you do things, thinking about what card you're going to play last in the round so that you can take it back if you need to. So I think that's like the really cool, nice twist on it.
Yeah.
Just enjoyed the production on that, even though it's like a preview copy. And yeah, some people were saying like the board is quite empty, which is very true. But I still think Ian O'Toole does the art, right? So any of Ian O'Toole's artwork is going to be a winner. I just thought it was novel with that action selection system, and just thoroughly enjoyed our time with it. And I love Euro games. They're my favorite. Just a shame that I'm absolute trash at them.
Yeah.
So a lot of my top games are Euros. So this was a dry energy Euro. So it had to go into the top 10.
Yeah, I think the only reason I did include it is because nobody can buy it, and we don't even have a copy anymore because we had to send it on.
Yeah, and do you know what? When I was looking through the list of games, I was sad about that.
Yeah.
Wish we could play Pampero.
Yeah, but I would agree with everything Tallie said. I think it would very likely have been in contention for my list if I didn't leave it out because I don't have a copy to play anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have put it on the list for me to choose from then.
That's true. But it's good to talk about it though.
Let's just check my number 5.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. Okay.
Do my number 6.
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting too excited.
So my number 6 can be seen right there. It's Ankh, Gods of Egypt. Well, to be fair, my father's works there as well.
Oh, yeah.
And them since lockdown over there. But Ankh, Gods of Egypt, I think 2 to 5 player, kind of, well, it looks like a dudes on a map game, but actually it's more like chess on a map. And actually at this moment we've only played it 2 player, but we've had a really great time. I think we're both really impressed by it.
Yeah.
At 2 player, because it's
less impressed because I lost the last 2 games when I actually did quite well in the first couple.
Yeah. Yeah, less impressed.
I'm just being bitter.
So I just think it's really clever design. I think what I like is it's very simple. There's only 4 actions, very easy to explain. Move around the map, summon some people to the map, gain some followers, spend followers to get powers. But obviously there's a lot more to it than that. And it has this really interesting kind of decision where you get to do 2 actions, but you can only do them top down in the way they're written.
Yeah.
And if you reach the end of like an action track, so every time someone takes that action and moves along the track, if you reach the end of it, you don't get to do the second action, but you get if it's a second action, then it's fine. But if it's your first action, you don't get to do a second, but you do get a bonus. So sometimes it's really weighing up like, I want that bonus because it'll give me another piece of area control, but then I only get 1 action. But then if I take 2 actions, Tallie will take it next turn.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like this kind of moves and counter moves, and it's like area control with powers, and I think it's really nice. It's really good production.
Yeah.
I think really kind of elegant design, I guess is how I describe it, because it's simple but really kind of meaty and thinky as well.
Yeah, I think the battle system is very interesting because everyone gets battle cards basically. Yeah. So it is about the amount of troops, I guess, or followers. I don't know, what are they?
Well, I think it's, units or troops. I think the followers are the tokens, right? That
you have in each area, but then you can like boost it by playing certain cards, but you have to reveal the cards that you've played. And again, like everyone has the same set of 8 or so. And there are certain tactics you can do where you actively want to lose the battle because it's like there's a card where it says something like, for every unit that you lose this turn, gain a devotion, which is basically the scoring. So I think that's quite interesting, that it's not always about just having the most strength. There's some tactical moves that you can pull where you might actually want to lose, which makes it, for me, more interesting, because dudes on a map games are typically not my favourite. So this kind of thing does make it more interesting to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so it's on my number 6.
Yeah.
But I look forward to trying out with more people, to be honest. Something I want to try maybe this weekend.
Yeah, because otherwise it is just a bit head-to-head. Someone's in the lead.
No, I think I don't mind. I just want to see what it's like.
Yeah.
You know
I enjoyed to play it at 2 for sure. I think it would just be very interesting to see with more people what happens, because it'd be less like tug of war.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on?
Let's go top half now.
Yes. So my number 5 is Carnegie.
I'm surprised.
I did a little spoiler, didn't I? But you're like, oh, anything else to say? Anything? Want to say anything?
Yeah, but I think I knew you'd have it on here.
Yeah. Won't go into it too much since you already talked about it. I guess it just ranks a little bit higher for me because, again, really love Euros. And I'm a little bit better at that one. I think I did win one or two of the games, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe.
So it goes up a little bit higher because I was able to win 1 or 2. But yeah, just like Farrell said, very interesting action selection system. The way you get income, very novel. Like you said, feels familiar, but it is novel enough that you're like, oh wow, this is very interesting. And it's not just a different theme pasted onto like another Euro with a lot of tracks and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think if you like these kind of tense but dry Euros, you know, you could say your pipelines, your barrages, I think Carnegie's definitely one to check out.
Yeah.
I think it's, I mean, obviously one of the best Euros we've played this year.
Yeah. Go on then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my number 5 can also be seen right here. Dead Reckoning. Otherwise described by Tallie as Scythe on Sea.
Yes.
So this was, we have a review, and as I said, a real pleasure because I kind of mainly backed it because I thought it would be a good review for the channel because it was quite a popular Kickstarter. I didn't really pay much attention to it, or like I knew I wanted to play a bit, but I didn't really pay a lot of attention. So I had absolutely zero expectations going in, and we're both really, really enamored with it.
Yeah.
It's really fun, first of all. I really like the systems. So it's kind of, I guess you're pirates or sailors.
Yeah.
No, pirates, I guess, is Dead Reckoning, because you hoist a pirate flag, right? If you go to battle.
Famously.
Either way, you're sailing around and you're kind of discovering islands and building settlements on them and gathering treasure, which you can do in a lot of different ways, and bringing it kind of back to port and depositing it, and who has the most money wins at the end, like Scythe. And there's also these achievements where the game will end when somebody gets so many achievements, like Scythe. Although it has completely, you could say, different feel, kind of, but similar but different.
Yeah.
But Scythe is our favourite game, so. Yes. And the highlight is really the card crafting system, where everyone starts with the same 12, I think it's 12 or 8, 12, I don't know, 12, whatever, kind of crewmates, and they kind of all do different actions, you could say, and on your turn you play any number you want and do the actions that are on them. But every round you upgrade one from your hand. So you flip, so they have 4 levels, and so you'll flip one and then it gets stronger. But you can also from the board pick up what's called advancements, and because they're in a card sleeve, like see-through one, you pick up these upgrades and you slot them in, and now, they have like 4 actions instead of 3.
Yeah.
And so they get more and more powerful and you're doing more and more things, and there's a lot of different ways to go about the game. You can build buildings, you can discover tiles, you can battle other people. And it's just really kind of fun and engaging and silly. We listened to a lot of sea shanties this year.
I was going to say that was the highlight of like the time where we were playing this a lot, and just really love those sea shanties. I miss them.
Some of them are in my Spotify Wrapped.
That's really funny.
Which I'm not mad about.
Yeah, just good to get on the sea shanties, play a bit of Dead Reckoning.
Yeah.
Do some pirate voices on the odd occasion.
Exactly. Yeah. So, number 4 then?
Yep. So my number 4 is Villagers.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Not surprising, but interesting. I thought if you had it, it would be lower.
A bit lower. Yeah.
Lower but higher.
Yeah, I just, again, like I said, I just had to rank by gut and like how much I enjoy playing it. And it just has to go up the top because I just think it's really fun little game. So how do you describe this? It's like a tableau builder.
Yeah.
Where
card drafting tableau builder, where everyone starts with basically a village founder, and there are some sort of basic villagers like miners. I can't remember what the other ones exactly called, like lumberjack or something like this. Yeah.
Who all have different like specialisms. Yeah, something like that. Different specialisms, and you draft every round. And you can draft a certain amount depending on what villagers you have, because some will allow you to draft. And then once you've drafted cards, you can build. And again, who is in your village will determine how many you can build. So one player might be able to build 5, but only draft 3, whereas another player might be able to draft more, but build less or whatever. And it's basically about making chains of production. So you start with your basic miner, who eventually, through layering on different cards that have to go in a certain order, become a jeweler, or the lumberjack can become a cooper, a cartwright. Some just end with that like level 2 hierarchy, so they just go on top of the basic one, and each basic one can have like 2 chains. Whereas some, like the jeweler, requires you to collect a set of 3 or 4, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's just simple, easy, but how do I say? It's not even like there's a ton of complex decisions that you need to make or anything like that. You are just drafting, but it's still interesting to try to draw. Like, should you just try to go for a lot of different villages, or like really try to like go for that jeweler, like I said, because that will get you a lot of points. But then the other person could also be going for the jeweler, and the professions that sit in the middle between the basic miner and the jeweler. If someone steals it, then your whole plan is like out. Yeah. So I guess it's mean, but in a very indirect way. It's just very cute looking on the table. I like tableau building mechanisms, so yeah. I just like it.
No, I mean, I'm not like, it wouldn't make my top 10, but I think it's a really great game.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed every play of it. I think I agree with everything you said. And the one thing...
there's just these like some games, whereas you said you kind of ranked yours and how much you want to play it more. I'm thinking about how much fun I had when we like first got it out.
That's
and when we first got it out, I was like, wow, this is so fun.
But I think that's actually quite interesting, and also a nice way to rank them differently, because then you're kind of saying how much fun you had when you first played it, and some people might only play them 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And I'm saying how much I want to play it more.
Yeah.
So then it's like you get the nice difference, I guess.
Got a bit of a different perspective.
No, I was just going to say that if you are interested in Villagers, can recommend it. It's a small box game.
Yeah.
But I would say get the expansion as well, Shifting Seasons, because it introduces rules that I think make the game much better.
Yeah.
Kind of make it a little like a turn or 2 longer, which makes, I think, to me, all the difference in it being much improved. And I think the mini expansions that come with it are really interesting to throw in, play around with it.
Yeah.
Keeps it interesting even though it's a lighter game.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Shall I go to my number 4?
Yeah, please do.
It is one we've already seen. Do you want to guess?
No.
Okay.
Just tell me.
It is Ultimate Railroads.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
So
I should have guessed that.
I really enjoy this. I think it's one of the best examples of worker placement I've ever seen. I love the meanness of it. We already talked about how there's always something interesting to do.
Yeah.
Which is key. And also what I like about Ultimate Railroads is it comes with all the maps. and the maps kind of have the same but different mechanisms. So you get so much content. It's not a cheap box, right? But you get so much content. And I mean, we've played it like 10, 11 times now, and I want to go back more because some of the maps I've only played like once or twice. And as we said, because there's different strategies, you're not going to see everything in one playthrough either. But yeah, I just think everything you said, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's really, and the puzzle as well, like you said, of kind of having to improve your railway, but you need to build it first, and then you can improve it, and then you also need carriages for how far you can score along, and there's a lot of juggling going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my number 4. Shall I get another, or you do number 3?
Oh, okay.
Go on then, you do number 3.
I want to see your reaction though.
Yeah, all right.
No, it's not that exciting, to be fair, because my number 3 is Dead Reckoning.
Oh my God.
Yes, so I think everything you said, fantastic game. Scythe is one of our favourites, and it is reminiscent of Scythe for me, just with a slightly different theme. I mean, it's not the same, but yeah, that card crafting system is just so interesting because you can have, I mean, the game's not like wildly different time to time, but it's different enough where it keeps it very interesting every time to me. And then it means that you explore different areas of the game, different ways to score every time. What?
Nothing.
Go on.
No, I was just thinking about future games.
Future games?
Yeah.
What, on this list?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so one time you might lean into more the area control, one more being like a merchant, and I just think the production is really nice. It's novel with that action selection system, and yeah, again, I'm thinking about how much fun and how pleasantly surprised we were when we opened it, and those sea shanties. I just have very, very like nice, fond memories of the time when we were playing this a lot.
Yeah, I think it's good. I want to, hopefully, maybe even this will be one we play over the next week, because
I've been wanting to play it. Like
one of our friends who used to be our core gaming buddy moved away, and he's back this weekend. Yeah. So maybe because we haven't introduced it to him, have we?
No, we can't have.
And then also another friend's back who has played this and enjoyed it. So maybe we'll get it out. Yeah. That'll be good fun.
Yeah.
So she'll go to my number 3, which I remembered and then forgot, and I forgot. No, I remembered. Okay, so my number 3, and I have to say that up until the last game or two we played of this, it was maybe going to be my number 1.
Ooh.
It was close. It was really, I think, this one, well, like I said, about how much I want to play it more, but also this one for me is the strength of the first couple of plays as well. But I think also you'll have bad plays of it, which is what's keeping it.
Okay.
So I was even about pushing it further back, being number 1. So it's really, I think, dependent. But it is ISS Vanguard.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm really enamored with it. I think it's one of the best story-driven games I've played. I think my big issues are that, which we said in the review, and I think we still believe, is that the core gameplay mechanism of dice checks, it doesn't evolve from the tutorial onwards, and it's like a 40, 60-hour game of campaign if you play it all the way through. And it can get a bit tedious. I think sometimes they have shortcuts for something being difficult, and they're not clever about it. Like, you just do the same check like 4 times, right? And it's like not fun to just stand around trying to get the same things on the dice. It's not interesting.
Yeah.
But so much of it is brilliant. I think if you use the app, you have voice acting, which is great. I think the story is really engaging. I want to see where it goes, and it's what's like literally like dragging me through. Dragging sounds bad, but you know what I mean. Like it's really motivating me to go through. And the dice checks are fun. I think it's a really solid core gameplay loop. I think sometimes, not every time, but sometimes they do really interesting things with the planets. Like we had one, which is like minor spoilers, but where basically you're always moving away from like kind of the day-night line. So you're constantly on the move and like trying to prevent from crossing into the cold night side, stuff like that. And they play around, and I just think if you want a story-driven experience, it's the best thing I've played since Sleeping Gods in that aspect.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's very good in like the amount of care and the amount of play testing that must go into something like that, with all the different branches and options that you could choose, is like incredible to me. And it's so well done, and the app and everything. Those types of games just won't make my top 10 because you're more into the story-driven things than me. Doesn't mean, again, that I don't like it. I just prefer other genres. But yeah, I do think that is a really incredible game. And just, like I said, the care that's gone into it to immerse you and all of that is really good. All right, so the penultimate. My number 2 is mind management.
Wow.
So
is this because you win all the time?
Maybe it is. No, again, just because I went with how much fun we had when we were kind of first playing these games. I guess because we have the channel, we do tend to play a game a lot, and then we'll do the review. And it's not that we don't just play games just to do the reviews, but that's just how it is. We just, play a lot, and then something else comes, we play a lot, and then we don't get to play the other game so much. So again, just thinking about the fun that we had when we first played it, I was like really, really blown away by it. I think I gave it a standing ovation when we first played it.
You did.
We just never played anything quite like that before. The whole like art style and theme is really cool and really incredible, and I just thought it was very novel. So yeah, just really have fun playing that. That's it. You already talked about the game, like
I think it's a really nice theme. It's really interesting. It's a hidden movement game. And I think both sides are actually really fun to play as. Yes.
So I've mostly played as
the recruiter,
which is the person who is doing the hidden movement, and you've mostly played as the person trying to capture me. And I mean, we swapped a couple of times, but not that much. We played a fair
I've only
amount.
been the recruiter like 3-4 times out of like 12 times.
Yeah. And we played a game the other day where I was the agent trying to capture the recruiter. And I did think, maybe I won't enjoy it as much. But actually, it's harder, much harder. But I still had a lot of fun trying to capture you. So, I just think it's very unique and different to anything else we have in our collection. So that's why it's number 2 for me.
Yeah, I think going back to what we were saying about you having the angle of first plays and me future plays, I mean, I think if I had ranked them, it would probably be like near, maybe not as high as that, but near where it is for you. Yeah. Because I mean, like at the start of the year when we played it, we were like, this is
amazing.
Yeah. Should we go to number 2?
Yeah.
Well, I think you'll be shocked by this.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
Because I know what your number 1 is now.
Okay.
It's really
now
obvious.
I know what your number 2 is.
But I assume number 1 is my number 2.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm intrigued what your number 1 is.
Caper, Europe. It's number 2 for me.
No comment.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be your number 1. It was nearly my number 1 as well, right? But in the end, I decided to put it number 2. Again, like I said, the angle of future plays. We've played this game like 30 times now.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to play it another 30 times, but I think it is at the point where we've played like every city. So Cape Europe is I guess you could also say tableau builder.
Yeah, card drafting
and tableau builder. But it's just really interesting where the theme is that you're competing thieves doing heists in a city, and there's 3 locations, and you're stealing like goods and sending thieves there and like getting gear ready for the mission. And essentially there's just a lot of different ways to score points. You can steal goods from these locations, you can have the most influence at that location, you can score from the cards you play, and you kind of draft one, pass it to the other player, like draft one, pass it back. And so it's quite interesting and sharp, and it plays in 20 minutes. But I mean, we had it as our best 2-player board game for both of us.
Yeah.
Number 1 on that list. It's some of the most fun we've had. Like I said, it's on our most played games of all time list. And I just think it's absolutely brilliant. I don't think there's any, if I had 25 minutes spare, I don't think there's any other game I'd rather play in our collection. It's just so sharp. There are no rough edges.
No.
It does exactly what it sets out to. I mean, our review is literally just us gushing about it for like 10 minutes straight.
Yes.
So it's number 2, just because of how much I think we have played it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So my number 1, and I think you might be surprised. Like, you think you know me so well. And you do. It is KP Europe.
Well, I knew KP Europe's going to be on the list. And if it's not come up before number 1, then it's number 1.
Yeah.
You would never not put it on the list.
Yeah. I mean, again, like when we first got it, we've already played 20 games or something ridiculous in the first month or 2, right?
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. There's no rough edges. There's nothing in our review. We didn't have anything like really bad or critique, like no critique. There's
I think
nothing
it just
bad
sets
to say.
out to do, this is the thing, it's not the greatest game of all time, and it's not the thing we would recommend most of all maybe as an experience, but sometimes when something just sets out to do exactly what it means to, and it just does it perfectly, that's
100%,
enough.
Like 10 out of 10, does it so well, looks cool, like...
Oh yeah, the look and the art is
and the
incredible.
Art is...
Components, but I think we have like...
We
should say, because I think we have like the not deluxe, but it was a Kickstarter version, which I think is more fancy.
Yeah, we have some metal coins and stuff like that, right? But we took it on holiday, right? Like, it's not the smallest box ever, but it's small enough to transport.
Yeah.
It doesn't take up a ton of space on a table. So, like I said, we played this on holiday and you can take it. It's just some cards and a few
theoretically, you could also just rubber band the cards, take the board and like put it all in a big bag.
There's not too
big
much.
Plastic bag.
Yes.
Without the box.
But, yeah, when we first play it, we just were absolutely, blown away by it. I think we played a game a couple of weeks ago.
To play like to try it out. It's just
something that we get out every now and again. This is a brilliant game. Like, it's never going to offer us something new now, like you said. We're not going to be like, oh, surprised by, this is actually a new mechanism that we discovered or a new way to score or whatever. But it is just 10 out of 10. Would recommend for a lighter, but still very strategic, cool looking, fun game. You got to get KP Europe.
Yeah.
2-player, by the way. Did we say that?
Yeah, it's only 2-player.
Yeah.
And we have a review if you want to hear us talk even more about how great it is.
Yeah. And a playthrough.
And a playthrough, yeah.
Okay, so your number 1, I actually can't think what it might be. So I am intrigued.
Yeah,
Is it something that's already been mentioned by me?
No.
No, okay, so it's completely...
I have said the name of it, but we haven't talked about it.
Okay, tell me. The suspense is killing me.
So I think you'll be like shocked, not shocked. But I was a little shocked when I put it on number 1.
I was shocked at your last year's number 1, actually.
Yeah.
So do it again for a second.
You can find it right behind you. Return to Dark Tower.
I am shocked, but not shocked.
Yeah. So you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I do know. Yeah.
So this was, in terms of some of the most fun I've had playing a game this year, some of the most spectacle, the most maybe surprising game in how much I liked it, and the game that obviously I want to play the most more over and over. And I think this is one when we reviewed it, we played like 10 times, and it's not like we meant to play. I just looked at the stats and it was like, we played this like 10 times before we even started doing a review. And it didn't feel like that, right? It didn't feel like that at all. We're just having fun playing it over and over. So I always call it Return to Dark Tower, is a reprint or a reimagining of a game from the 80s that had a big plastic electronic tower in the middle. And it's been kind of, really redone by Restoration Games, and has, again, a big electronic tower that's kind of controlled through an app, and it will spit out skulls and influence the game. And it's kind of like a spectacle. It's breathtaking, it's impressive, it draws people in when they see it. They want to engage with it. And I can't believe I'd ever have a co-op game as my number one game of the year.
Yeah, I think that's why it is a bit like a bit shocking.
I'm not so into co-op games, although we have played a lot more this year.
Yeah.
But I think for me, it nails the line of being simple enough that I could explain it to almost a non-gamer, but having so much going on and having so many plates to spin that even though the actions are really simple and the goal's simple, it's never boring in choosing, because you're like, oh, I could go and fight this monster, but then we need to go over here and do this, but then, oh, we need to complete this mission this round. Oh, but I need to clear the skulls out of my kingdom, or else I'm going to like get a penalty. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's the game for me, co-op game particularly, where I think a lot of them have a tendency to just be really hard to get replayability, if that makes sense. And like, oh, you're going to fail a lot of times, but you just need to keep working. Yeah. And we can sometimes find that unsatisfying when you play for like 3 hours and you fail and you're like, eh.
Yeah, that's not my job.
Whereas this, it always feels like you're on the verge of something going wrong and losing, but you win most of the games.
Yeah.
And I think the pressure's there, but you do get that win rate of, in the kind of 80% maybe. Yeah. And that's something I really like. It makes the times
where you do lose
Yeah.
Easier to take, because you know that you're not going to just play another game. Like those games you say where you can play for 3 hours and just lose. Yeah. If you know that the next time that's likely to happen, personally for me, that just doesn't motivate me to want to play it again. Not that it's all about winning, but it's unsatisfying, right? So this is a good one for that.
Yeah, I just think I was blown away by it. I mean, the tower's so cool when you're playing with it. I just think it has really good gameplay. There's all different scenarios you can play. I think the app is probably the best app I've seen in board gaming apps. It's so slick. Yeah. I love the way it handles combat. It's really novel. Love the virtue system. Love the dungeon crawling. Mm-hmm. I just think it was a really good experience playing it, and I just want to play it more. Yeah. We haven't played it in a while, actually. No. Since we played with our friends.
Okay.
And she was really impressed, right?
Yeah.
And we had a lot of fun that night.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so that was my number one, Return to Dark Tower.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm not surprised because you go on about it all the time. Like, this is my favourite co-op. But I think the sort of semi-shocking part is because it is a co-op and it's not typically our favourite genre, but I get why you've put it at number one for sure.
It's interesting now because favourite co-op of all time on this list, favourite two-player game of all time on this list, so it's been a good year for new games, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I do like that one. I think it's my second favourite co-op after Spirit Island, so it ranks pretty highly for me as well. It's fun.
So moving on to things that didn't make the list.
Do we know how many games we had to choose from?
No, but it was quite a lot.
Must have been like 30.
30 to 40, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I did a short list and there was like 17, and that was probably not including half of them.
Okay.
So it had to be, I'd say, 40 odd to 50. But is there any you're surprised about that I didn't put on?
I don't think so, no.
I'm a little bit surprised, since you put Pampero, that you didn't put Zoo Tycoon.
That was hovering around the 12. When Farrell sent me the list of games, I thought that we were ranking all of them, actually. Yeah. So I set about ranking all 40, however many there were. And yeah, for sure, that would have been 12, 13. Mm-hmm. I was looking at it a bit like, could that go a bit higher? But the games that I put in my top 10, I didn't want to bump down.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So, yeah, I think actually I would have put Ark Nova somewhere as well, 14, 15.
See, this is what I was going to say.
That was hovering around as well.
Because I want to say about big misses, which we also talked about last year, and I think Ark Nova will be the biggest that we played this year, and we didn't, because I mean, it's like everyone's favourite game.
Yeah.
We're just not that enamoured with it.
I think it's really good,
Yeah,
and the game, like
100%.
I enjoy every game.
Do you know what? I just don't think it's exciting.
No.
It's
no.
perfectly done. I think the mechanisms are excellent. I really enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
I just think that it's been like everything's been done before, and it's hard to describe. It's just not exciting. But it's like Wingspan. I'd never turn down a game of Ark Nova or Wingspan, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of. I don't want to say Ark Nova's an evergreen because it's like a 2-hour plus game, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I guess because I ranked mine in the way that I did, I didn't get that feeling of like, wow, like I did with most of my top 10.
Yeah.
I got to the end and thought, very, very solid game, had fun with that, but it wasn't a wow factor for me.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to rank my list, actually, or describe it like a bit of a wow factor.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes. Anything for you where you're surprised that...
It's hard to think now, so many games.
Yeah.
No, Zoo Tycoon, I think.
Yeah.
I think... no, I have to think.
I'll tell you one that I really wanted to put... Yeah, I didn't know where to put it. Wonderland's War. But I think it didn't quite make it because it's kind of new. And I think we need to play it with some more people.
Yeah.
But that was something where I thought, wow, this is really fun.
Yeah.
Maybe, as we've mentioned it before, maybe like the length does drag it down sounds bad, but yeah, it's not like the perfect game because of the length, but I think it's really cool and fun and novel.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess that would be one that I was not expected, but I could see you thinking about.
Yeah, I think it didn't feel fair on those other games from earlier in the year because it was kind of new. I don't know.
Yeah. No, but I think what I really like that we did this year, like I said, is played a lot of them in the last 2 weeks to make sure that it wasn't pure nostalgia factor or like, because obviously the closer something is like kind of like Carnegie now, we're almost in the moment of playing it and like being in love with playing it.
Yeah.
And it's almost not fair to compare like what it's like, you know, when we first played KP Europe, because now we played it like 30 times.
Yeah.
So playing for the 31st time is obviously not as enamoring.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think we really enjoyed all the games we got out and like replayed.
Yeah. And what about you're in charge of all of the things coming down the line? So any things that you're really looking forward to for 2023?
I am interested to see what happens with a game called Station Fall.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
from
I remember you.
Ion Games. I think that's the right one.
Yeah.
And it's like this crazy kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but basically a space station is like going down and there's all these zany characters and you kind of like each take a character and you have a secret mission type thing based on your character and you're trying to do it, but other people are trying to do different things. So it's like more of a kind of cross between a board game and a party game, I think. Not party game, but you know. And you're all running around like trying to do your own thing, but like one thing you do can affect someone else. And so I think it's a bit zany and I'm interested to see what that's like, if that's any good or not. I think that's one that will stand out in terms of being interesting, wanting to try.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a few. What about you?
I don't know what is.
No, don't know what's.
No, you're in charge of that.
Yeah.
I know of the games when they show up at the door.
Yeah.
And Farrell says, "Hey, we have a new game." I'm like, okay, cool.
Well, I'm interested to see also if we like or hate Frostpunk, which we're in the middle of playing now.
The first game.
The first game, yeah. Well, we started it for 3 hours the other day and we had to leave it.
Why would we hate it?
I don't know, maybe it's too hard.
Right, okay.
Co-op game. I'm interested to see Weather Machine. This is just games we have right now that we haven't played. Weather Machine.
Oh, yeah, I'm really interested for that.
I've heard some mixed things about it.
Oh. Okay.
But I think it depends. Because I know some people have kind of said they felt the theme was a bit removed and there's like complexity and faffery for like the sake of it.
Right.
And there's a lot of like exceptions to rules. So it's like you can do this except for when this.
Okay.
So
yeah, that can be tough.
So people, but then I think Board Game Rambling said that they really like it. And I think they're like us, where they just enjoy, like, you know, Tallie said, but other people who enjoy it have mine. So I'm interested to see where it ranks and if we do like it or we feel one way or the other.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well.
So
end it there.
Yeah. So I think please share with us your favorite game of the year, of course. What you think of our picks, or if you want to know anything more about any of the games. And just want to say thank you for watching. If you found it was enjoyable, please consider subscribing because it helps us grow the channel. And just really thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.
And we hope you had fun, because we always have fun doing this.
Definitely.
It's a surprise. And I think I'm more shooketh than last year at the differences between our lists.
We have completely
But we had a
lists.
lot more games, I feel, this year on the list.
I guess so. Yeah, some of the games last year we got spot on together, like number 3, we both put Orléans.
Yeah.
And this year, it's the lists are, I'd say, like wildly different.
Wildly
actually.
different.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised by some that like I had that weren't in yours, for example.
Yeah. Interesting.
Didn't even have any crossovers.
No.
Like,
I thought
numerically.
Cape Europe might do it, actually.
I know you
but
thought.
then I was in 2 minds. Yeah, maybe you put it second. So
Yeah.
Damn you, Return to Dark Tower.
Thank you so much. And we have reviews for a lot of these games.
Yeah, we'll link them below.
Please check them out. See you next time.
Bye.